Our gracious Heavenly Father, once again we come before Thee. We come as many. May we leave as one in the body of Christ. Recently, the city had a tragedy in our workforce. So, Father, we would ask for Thy special blessing upon Ronnie Rue's wife and his children, and ask that You'd look after them, help them in this time of transition. Make Your presence known and felt to them. Father, we are thankful for Thy presence in our lives, and we ask for Your help and guidance, that we might make the decisions that would be for the betterment of our community and our citizens. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All of you have the minutes from last month. Is there any corrections or additions? If not, they'll stand as read. Old business.
I have two items. What is the council's preference regarding Mr. Carter's proposal? Should we pursue that to the point where I would have the city attorney draft something?
Refresh me what that.
The proposal was to, if we deeded over the property to where the old Convoy building was, he would be responsible for it. And whatever Ameren would push through, he would work with them on.
Can we, is it legal for us to do that without putting it up for bid? We can do that.
I would have to ask Robert.
What's a sale of real estate?
Yeah, basically it's a property that the city inherited. We incurred no expense in receiving it. So,
Well, I'd like to do it, but I just want to make sure.
no, I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Would we be better to lease it to him in the event that property downtown would become extremely valuable?
That's an option that I'm willing to pursue.
I think I like that better.
Could I ask, what is the city hoping that this person do with the property? And does the city have any expectations they would do specifically?
Basically, he has some problems with water inundating his east wall, and he would like to make some reparations to that east side so that it would facilitate drainage that would remove the water from going into his basement.
If we leased it, would that absolve us from
I don't think so.
No.
No, in fact, I think it would create a complication.
It just adds
Yeah.
more responsible.
Right.
Okay, give it to him.
We can't, sorry, we can't give away.
No, we can't give it to him.
but you
I mean,
can.
in the past on property in the industrial park, we've sold for $10 or $1 or whatever.
You have
So
to have
it would be a
ordinance.
matter of drafting up a contract from the city attorney, something agreeable to Mr. Carter, and then him signing on. And
I'm sorry, is it just the Convoy lot or is it the Rexall lot too? Just the Convoy lot?
I believe that's
it's
all.
actually both lots, I'm sorry, you're correct.
But that water's undermining his building all the time.
Yes,
And I think.
and that's what he's looking to try and correct.
So we're going to have an expense there to fix that.
I don't see where it's our expense. We've mitigated everything that we possibly could.
It's not our water then.
I can't control the big guy upstairs and when it rains and
It seemed, I mean, if I may, it seems to me that what we're really after is to get the city out of a situation of potential
Yes.
liability for that very difficult to maintain wall.
Right.
And just this morning, Tom and I were talking about taking responsibility for these buildings we don't really have funds to take care of. Here we have a private individual that's interested in
Who's willing to step forward?
take care of this property in the correct way. If there were a way to do that responsibly, I think there's a number of us that would be interested in pursuing that. The question that I hear come up that I haven't had an answer to is the one Monroe asked, which is, can we just sell this to this individual, or are we required by some state statute or ordinance to put it out to bid or to
You can sell
submit it?
You have to have usually there's a real estate contract involved, and there has to be an ordinance approving the mayor signing the real estate sale contract and executing the deed. And if the notion is we just want to get rid of this because it's a potential headache, and an potentially expensive headache, then you're kind of justified to say, even the fair market value of the lot may be actually irrelevant because it comes with that, the big caveat of a possible lawsuit down
Yeah.
the road. So you could have a low price, and if the council approves it,
Yeah.
you can alienate land in that way without, you don't have to bid it out.
And
or have an
Mr.
auction.
Carter's proposal included, and I don't see him here tonight, but he would release the city from any and all liability.
Well, I would make a
And that would
motion.
be part of the contract stipulations.
I make a motion that we pursue the course described by our attorney in the pursuit of examining, handing this over. We'd want to see what that looks like, but I would make the motion we pursue that, have a response from the attorney that could describe what that would be and come to some terms before making a final decision.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Motion was made and second. We've already discussed it. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Neener?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
One other item, and this came about shortly after election. We had received the YMCA contract. There were some recommendations to make changes to it. Those changes have been affected, and I would ask that a motion be made to go ahead and approve signing of the contract for the YMCA for this pool season.
I'll make a motion that we accept the amended contract with the YMCA for operation of the pool.
Second by Jim Woods. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Neener?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
It's close.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I know that. Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yay.
Mr. Wood?
Yay.
I have nothing further.
I have two items under old business. One was permission to join PCDA. I asked you, the council, about this a month ago. And also permission to advertise for an economic developer for the city. The first one is join PCDA.
I make a motion that we approve and support the rejoining of PCDA.
I second it.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? If not, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Neener?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White? Mr. Wood?
Yeah, just call him Sal.
That's fine. Oh, double L.
I'm Italian, I'm
Pronounce it
sorry. It's not my fault, it's my
P-O-double-L-I-S.
parents' fault.
Okay.
She said it right. I want it to
Permission
be.
to advertise for an economic developer.
I make a motion that we postpone that that discussion per our work study on the budget, because that's one of the main things I want to talk about in the work study, is what that position looks like, the amount that's budgeted for it, what priority it has. So my motion is to postpone that advertisement.
Second that.
Motion made and seconded.
But we'll be able to vote on that at that council meeting following the work day.
Yeah, I don't see,
We won't be making any appointment at that time.
well, that's not an appointment, right? You're asking for
I'm
a
asking
motion,
permission. They could-
Defining the position.
right.
That could be put on the agenda.
If it's posted, it can be voted
Absolutely.
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Motion made, seconded. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Sal?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes. Okay, anything,
Yes, this was a little contentious right before the meeting, so I really want to do everything possible not to make it contentious. I understand you have some questions about, or some opposition to this, so I'd like to get clear. The Board of Adjustment postponed the River of Life conversation with their trailer, so that they could address the council. Clearly, they could do that during the public meeting, but I believe, given the context and given some of the I've probably put 35 hours in this last week, that I believe there are reasonable solutions and courses of action that we can take, even though there's a court order out there, and we're in the midst of this. I believe that in substantial fairness to the citizens of Louisiana, there is a conversation that could be had, and I would like to have that conversation in an open and constructive way. And you, Mr. the Mayor, objected to that, indicating that there may be some reason legally we
have an
can't.
open meeting.
Okay.
And before you start
Mm-hmm.
defending the River of Life.
By the way, I'm not defending.
What we need to do is go with the agenda. I'm going to call a point of order.
Sure.
And we're going to go with the agenda, and we're going to let Mr. Dempsey speak first, or Mrs. Dempsey, I'm sorry. And then we're going to let Justin speak. And then we will get to, when Justin gets through with his speak, I will tell them what the Judge McGuire said to me.
Okay, well, let me modify my question then, because I actually had it in my notes to make a motion to modify the agenda, and I passed on that so that we could discuss it under old business. I'm asking you if you are going to allow on this agenda that we have this conversation, that the council, whose meeting this is, have this conversation.
Yeah, you are asking, you're speaking for the whole council, and what I will do, no, wait a
Speaking
minute.
for me.
You're speaking for yourself, okay.
Yes.
What I will do after we've listened to Mr. Dempsey and we've listened to Mr. Shepherd, I will tell them what the judge said to me, and we'll let the whole council decide whether we're going to have an open discussion or proceed any further.
That's fine.
Each will be confined to the 5-minute time frame.
Still,
Yeah, yes, sir. I got some people to remove if you all want to discuss that. That is not old business, you haven't got it yet. So the Board of Adjustment is going to have to take its members out of here if you all want to discuss it. So
Right.
we will leave now. That's okay with you. Come on, Bob.
They already discussed it.
I have a question on that. I understand that that the Board of Adjustment is considering it, but this was presented in open session by the River of Life some time ago to the City Council. So it is old business, it's not new business.
And to address that old business, part of the error was on my fault for allowing it to go
Yeah.
to the Board of Adjustment, because based upon what I knew,
Right.
I should not have let it go to the Board of Adjustment. That is my error. In light of the fact that an adjudicated decision has been made, and it is in effect, and given the fact that no appeal was made to a higher authority, I leave it at that.
Okay, well,
I just had a
those are all
question about
true.
the discussion, the council discusses it, and I'm not all that familiar with all the ins and outs of what happened in municipal court, or what the order is. But if the council were to discuss this, and then to what end? I mean, what is the council going to do?
I have two suggestions that I would like to get to in the course of a conversation, which I would have to have in order to answer that question. But I have an end in mind that I think would be palatable to the city. It has been palatable to everyone I've spoken with
Can you share
about
that?
it.
And-
Yes, I can. I'd like to have a discussion to share that. That's what I'm asking for.
Well, right now, according to the ruling of the court, they have until the 3rd to come into compliance.
Correct.
If they don't, they will be cited again.
Correct. But that has no
But we have
bearing.
no authority to change that, and like I told you,
We have no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
like I told you this morning,
Mhm.
actually, as long as it's in the court and you got a court order, this council can't rule on it.
I believe that this council can still discuss it and decide to take action that's
If they
legal.
want to. And
Well, certainly if they want
We
to.
have to have a majority of the council
We would.
say that.
And I'm not defending River of Life, if that's a fear of anyone.
I don't
My
have
interest
fear
is
of it
in
at all.
finding a palatable solution to everyone, because this has become a very ugly situation. And I think we can disarm it. So that's my hope.
As long as they comply with city ordinance.
Absolutely. And the end goal is to absolutely make sure that happens.
Okay. Mr. Dempsey, or Ms. Dempsey, we're opening the meeting, council to the public. Come up forward. State your name and what's your reason.
Yes, please.
Okay, my name is Lynn Dempsey. This is my husband Doug Dempsey. Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Administrator, City Council members, thanks for your time this evening. As you may or may not know, Doug and I have purchased the building at 314 Georgia Street. We would like to ask the city to consider selling us the property next to it, where the caboose lot used to be, or used to sit. I don't know what it's called now, I don't know the address, but anyway, we'd like to ask the city to consider selling us the lot the caboose was sitting on for a fair price. If sold the lot, we plan to turn it into a parking lot that provides service to the city as well as to the building that we have purchased. We are also in the process of repairing the damaged wall. We have run into obstacles, however, with Alan Lynn, and as soon as these are resolved, we will get underway with the repairs. If the city has any inputs to resolve this issue, Doug and I are certainly open for any suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see it. The council will have to decide whether or not to sell the property where the caboose sat. Of course, Alan Lynn sits between you and the property you now own. There's not much we can do except rely on Mr. Lynn to be neighborly and try to work with you all to rebuild or fix a wall so we don't have any more.
And our intent, we're not looking to exact a monetary windfall. We like your ideas and what you're proposing to do with the property. So, cost would be minimal if approved by the council.
Wonderful, thank you. Appreciate it.
We've already approved moving on with Carter's.
Right, I would say it's very much similar to Mr. Carter's situation, so.
I think it's exactly right.
Would
Yes.
council want to make a motion that we have him draw up another?
I would make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and second, call the roll.
To draw up another contract, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Contract ordinance indeed, so I would need to get the legal description and the postal address of the property if there is one.
I'll get it for you.
And this council has to decide, are you the proposed changes that the grantee is going to make, are you wanting to make that a stipulation of the contract that they must do that?
Yes.
Yes. Under the circumstances, yes,
In
with
both
that
cases,
wall.
both
Yeah.
cases?
Yeah.
In both
And
cases.
they're agreeable to that. They've already had made provisions to restore that wall and everything else, so I have no objections to their intentions.
I just ask because sometimes people change their mind.
We can always, such that we can always review. I mean, right, and right now we're just looking at the contract, but if they suddenly wanted to build a 3-story new building there, we could certainly consider that, right? I mean, we're not
You're
tied to
selling
it.
property because you think somebody's going to make some
Right.
change that's going to help public safety and water control and things like that. And then they decide not to do it, the
Right.
city might be a little bit ticked.
So we want to hold them, the sale would be contingent upon that being,
Them completing
If
those
that's what you want.
provisions.
Yes.
If you don't care about that, that's fine too. Just,
is that the motion? You made it.
I made a motion to have him draw up a contract.
Right.
Yeah, and
But the
obviously
for
those
the contract
provisions will be
to be in
set
that.
forth in that contract,
Yeah,
subject to your approval.
yeah.
And who's second?
I said, I think
Sal
so.
did.
Okay.
Down.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Nieder?
Yes.
Mr. Paulus?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks.
Justin Shepherd.
Ladies and gentlemen of council, I'm going to be short. It's just, you guys have heard a little bit about the trailer situation out there. I'm a board member. That's the pastor, CEO of the ministry. The ministry got a trailer. Bob and Sharon Shepherd asked the ministry, can we put the trailer back there and leave it? He said, sure, as long as you go to the city and make sure it's all right. In April, they went to the city, to Ken Adams, to ask for a permit. Ken Adams said he'd get back to us. Bob Shepherd talked to Kent. Kent gave Bob Shepherd Porter Elliott's phone number and said he's in charge of zoning, call him, which Bob Shepherd did. Porter said he'd be out in a couple minutes, came out, said, I don't care what you do, you're in the county. Bob Shepherd asked him, what did you say? He said, I don't care what you do, you're in the county. See the ditch? You're in the county, you can do whatever you want to. Bob Shepherd then called Ken Adams, left him a voicemail. Ken Adams called him back. Bob Shepherd asked Ken Adams, hey, this is what Porter just told me. Is that correct? Ken Adams said, that's what they're saying, that you're in the county, so you can do what you want. Not until after August, until the city administrator got a complaint that it was there, did we hear anything. The trailer had been sitting there, they were living in it, and we were like, Mr. Jenny, the city just told us this in April, that it was in the county. He went back and talked to, I don't know who he would talk to, but he came out the next morning, talked to my mom, and said, put your skirting up, you won't hear anything more from me.
Oh, no.
I
No way.
okay, that's fine. I'm just saying,
Let him finish.
that's what, everybody's here that's involved, so you guys can ask questions. I'm not. Okay, that's when we heard. According to the city's timeline, Ken Adams talked to my dad on the 9th, 4/9. They were on their way to Arizona. On the way to Arizona, so I don't know how he could talk to him. It was not until August until Bob Jenny came out. I've had 2 meetings with Bob Jenny since, asking him, what did we do wrong? He said, the ministry did nothing wrong. They went to Ken Adams to get the permit, and were eventually told it's in the county by Porter Elliott, which was acting in official capacity for the city as the person over zoning. Ken Adams was called. Ken Adams said, that's what they're saying. So I mean, what do you do at that point is what we're asking. We set the trailer there, they lived there. The mayor came out and said he messed up sitting and talking to Dad.
That is correct.
And
But that was not in August. That was before, but about a week after, they moved that trailer in there.
oh,
No, no.
Absolutely not.
That's-
Absolutely not.
We need to listen to this guy.
Yeah,
that's fine,
go
that's
ahead.
fine. And that's, everything I'm saying, we're getting phone records of the conversation that Ken Adams called him on that certain day. We're getting phone records where he called and left the message. All that stuff said that's not happening, but we're getting proof of that right now. I've got proof of a bank statement from Mom and Dad that when they said one of the meetings was having, they were on their way to Arizona. So it's just, we were told, we're not trying to screw the city by any means. We were told it was in the county, that's why we did what we did. And then after the fact is when all this started coming about, saying, well, come in compliance or you'll get ticketed. Well, you're asking us to break the law. They're a disabled couple that were told they could live there as long as the city said it was all right. The city said it was in the county. Now you're expecting us to kick these people out of the home as a ministry. And that's not right. I've enforced law. Ordinance is in this city, state law. Mr. Jennings enforced ordinances in this city, state and federal laws. Him himself said, we did nothing wrong. And I don't understand why there's this push to make sure that we're ticketed over and over and over again when we were told we were in the county and can prove that.
Your time is
Your
up.
time is up.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Mr. Adams stand up.
No.
Oh, no? Okay. Let me.
Robert, I would advise against saying nothing.
Well, the thing I will say this here. When I said I was wrong, when I got the first call on this, I asked where Mr. Shepherd lived. And he told me the old, lost my thinking on it, it belonged to these people and Ensis. And I said, that's not in the city limits. When I was talking to your father, I was talking about where he lived. Nothing was said to me about Murda's property across the road. When I talked to Ken Adams, when I talked to him, I said, y'all came in and got a permit for that building, for Murda's. So you had to know you was in the city limits when you got that permit.
That's why we came again and talked to him.
Yeah, but you did not get a permit to move that trailer in there.
Because you told us we were in the county.
No, I did not. I have never said that, and I'm not speaking to you.
That's right, you're not.
Okay.
This is not,
We're not gonna keep going on with this. He had his 5 minutes. And I'm not allowing you to count on, answer this either. This is actually the council, full
Robert,
council.
what is your recommendation?
Can I not make them, I can't speak to this, I can't even ask my council if we would like to,
Yeah, well,
if
go
they'd like
ahead
to hear
and
my
you wanna
opinion.
ask the council if they want to
Absolutely.
continue with this discussion?
I make a motion that I be allowed, I guess, or that it be an agenda item, that I be allowed to read a prepared statement, which is seeking not to cast one side or the other, but to find a recommendation for
You're
a way
making
to
a
proceed.
motion to read this.
I
Okay,
am-
do I have a second?
Press second.
Okay, motion made and second.
I got
So I brought a witness with me.
Fine.
Call the roll.
No, I got it.
Sure.
If this is voted down, will you give us a copy of that?
I will gladly, in fact, I almost printed it, but I'm out of ink and I had to print a bunch of other stuff for you guys tonight.
I'll
But
get
I will
to
be
you
glad
in
to
a
get
minute.
you a copy of this.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes,
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Nunez?
Yes?
Mr. Pollak?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
No.
Mr. Wood?
yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that opportunity. I really am trying to disarm a situation that is clearly contentious and
Go ahead and
volatile.
read your statement.
I am. Please let me get through it without interruption, if you don't mind. Okay. I don't like to see my city fight with its citizens. The city and its citizens should make every possible effort to cooperate and work with one another towards fairness and the common good. If a mistake is made, it should be owned and made right. Of course, if an issue can no longer be amicably discussed, then a case in court or a battle of public opinion may be warranted. However, I do not believe we have reached that threshold with the River of Life trailer debacle, even though it's been in court. I believe we can compromise and find a solution that acts with grace, humility, and compassion towards the common good and everyone's interests. In the last week, I've spent well over 30 hours reading all the paperwork, researching the ordinances and statutes, interviewing many of those concerned, and having multiple meetings with Board of Adjustment members, River of Life, Bob Jenny, Ken Adams. At this point, there are some significant discrepancies between the narratives. We saw some of it tonight. However, I believe that at least 4 Board of Adjustment members, 4 City Council members, and I haven't talked to all Board of Adjustment, and I haven't talked to all City Council, the River of Life, Bob Jenny, and Ken Adams all agree that there are several fair and honorable ways to deal with this which would not require more ugliness or further escalation in the animosity, which is what I'm after. I hope we're all after that. Let me describe each side of the coin. Okay, there are kind of 2 arguments, so to put it in context, I'm going to take a minute and look at each. I believe that the River of Life made a reasonable effort to do the right thing. They asked our city officials what was needed in order to put the trailer where it is currently located. Under normal circumstances, this would have been enough. However, they were errantly led to believe by city officials that the property was not in city limits. This belief was further supported by months of non-action by the city. The determination that this property was not in city limits was incorrect, however, and over 4 uninterrupted months, River of Life made substantial investment in what is really a non-compliant endeavor. According to the building inspector's report, the misinformation came from officials of the city as high up as the mayor. I do not believe it was malicious in any way. It was just an error, either in interpretation or presentation, but it was an error that introduced confusion. Though this misinformation was not intentional, I do believe the city, whose purpose it is to protect and facilitate the well-being of its citizens, has significant moral responsibility to ameliorate the consequences of this situation. The city has an obligation to be accountable and provide substantial justice to River of Life, Stark Nurseries, and the citizens of Louisiana. The ugly truth, however, is that bad advice from a public official does not invalidate the law. Further, property law dictates that it is the responsibility of the property owner to ensure compliance. River of Life should have known it was in the city. River of Life may be exempt from city taxes, but the property is clearly listed as being in the tax district. The map illustrating the city limits is publicly available. River of Life has secured building permits for other projects on the same property. Certainly, private legal counsel would have found this error. In the eyes of the law, due diligence was not done by the property owner. This can be seen in the April 4th Louisiana Municipal Court order in this matter. I have the summons number, etc. It may seem harsh, but in the eyes of the law, the simple truth is that a residential house trailer is not allowed in a B2 zone. River of Life must acknowledge the responsibility of the property owner to be legally responsible for compliance. So I believe that the city of Louisiana has a moral responsibility, and River of Life has a legal responsibility to work together in finding a mutually palatable solution. Nobody did anything malicious. Nobody tried to circumvent the law. Everyone did a mediocre job of trying to help and get this done. Unfortunately, more was required. It required a thorough and determined documentation of facts, and that did not happen. The result is that River of Life is not in compliance, and they need to become compliant. I believe the city's moral obligation is to ameliorate River of Life's consequences. If we can agree that the ideal solution would be one which brings the property into compliance, balancing that burden with the substantial private investment made upon confusion introduced by the city, then 1, an amended order by the municipal court, or 2, a special use exemption from the Board of Adjustments would be reasonable options in reaching such a compromise. Number 1, I suggest that a letter be sent to the municipal court with signatories representing both the City of Louisiana and River of Life. This letter could state mutual agreement in recommending that due to confusion introduced by the city, the court's order be amended to require compliance in some number of years. Set that aside for a separate conversation, rather than the typical 60 days. The number of years given should represent a deference to the private investment made by River of Life. Further, the order might include that River of Life should plant a double row of pine trees, which would address the complaint by Stark Brothers. Or, 2, should the court not support such an amendment to its judgment, there is a second course of action I would recommend. The city, via the Board of Adjustments, might give River of Life a special use exemption, giving them some number of years to bring the property into compliance and requiring River of Life to plant the double row of pine trees. Either of these options might resolve the issue to the satisfaction of both parties, fairly represent the citizens of Louisiana who expect policies and behavior resulting in an ethical and helpful government, and finally result in a fully compliant property for everyone. There are a lot of both nuances and flashpoints involved in this situation. There are disagreeing chronologies and statements, etc. There's a lot of chest pounding and pride. But I believe we can find a solution that acts with grace, humility, and compassion for the common good. So my request is that this council give its focus to an effort to do the right thing. And I ask, what are your thoughts?
There's some legal principles you might want to consider in doing this, if you want to hear.
I do want to hear them.
First thing is that the Missouri Constitution, Article 2, Section 1 on separation of powers says the powers of government shall be divided into 3 distinct departments, the legislative, executive, and judicial, each of which shall be confined to a separate magistracy, and no person or collection of persons charged with the exercise of powers properly belonging to one of those departments shall exercise any power properly belonging to either of the others, except in instances in this Constitution expressly directed or permitted. So,
in what way would we be exercising a power? I think I've suggested that we exercise a request towards their rightful ownership and use of power.
okay. And I haven't looked at court files, so I don't really know for sure what's going on in court. But from what I'm hearing, apparently there was some kind of a hearing, and Judge McGuire issued a decision.
Yes.
And he set some kind of time limit for compliance with that decision. So that still remains a matter before the municipal court. That's the judiciary. You have your ordinance 125.010 establishes the municipal court. Jurisdiction is conferred in 020. All cases involving alleged violation of the ordinances of the city. So I guess your city prosecutor must have filed some sort of complaint with the judge alleging that there was a violation of an ordinance. So that until the court closes that case, it's before the court. Any person who doesn't like a decision of the court can get a brand new trial, start from scratch trial just by applying for a trial de novo, and they go before Judge Cash.
My interest is in avoiding even that much more pain.
Well, that's what your law provides, is that's the remedy for any person aggrieved, or they can appeal.
Let me ask you.
Now, I'm not finished.
Okay.
You don't want to be interrupted, so how about if we all do?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So or they can appeal to the Missouri Court of Appeals Eastern Division. And the other thing to consider is you're talking about the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 89.110 of the revised statute sets out a procedure. If anybody doesn't like a decision of the Board of Adjustment, they have to present to the circuit court a petition verified setting out what part of the decision or what parts of a decision of the Board of Adjustment is illegal. And that's supposed to be presented to the court within 30 days,
There is no judgment by the Board of
by the
Appeals.
Board of Adjustment.
there is no, but that's mute, there isn't one.
Okay, so there's no decision by the Board of Adjustment?
No.
So they haven't even applied for the
They,
Board of Adjustment?
they have applied.
Okay.
It was postponed so that we can discuss it here.
Well, that's up to them how they run it, but if something's before the Board of Adjustment, it's there. And the next step, depending on what they do, is to go to court if they don't like the decision. If the Board of Adjustment refuses to rule, then they could file for a writ of mandamus in the courts. But the statute does not provide a remedy back to the city council.
I don't believe I've suggested that.
Okay. Then what would the city council be talking about, directing
Well, I had two.
the special use permit?
I had two very specific things. The first one is the one that the city council could do, and I have heard nothing that would indicate we are not capable of writing a letter or jointly writing a letter per a mutually agreed upon agreement if we agree. Maybe we don't agree.
Well,
But if we could agree and we could write a letter to Judge McGuire, it is perfectly within his realm to modify his order such that it meets what both parties feel is substantial justice, and we could wind up with an amicable solution that brings the property into compliance and gives deference to the fact that the city has introduced confusion. That just seems like fair play to me.
Well, I think, if this is a guess on my part, but I think that would have been brought up, and as you said in your statement, the legal responsibilities on the property owner, and of course, the boundaries of the city of Louisiana are also set out in your ordinance, and it specifies that it's per the map in the city clerk's office.
I mentioned all
So
of that.
what's in or outside the city is determined by that map and not by the mistaken belief of anybody associated with the city.
Absolutely.
But what you need to consider, or if you so choose, and that's up to you, if the council takes a position or implies a position on how a pending court case should be decided, or time limits extended, is the council sending a message to the judiciary to not exercise its independent judicial judgment on a question of law?
Not in the least. Because I suggest something doesn't mean I'm demanding it of you. Because I say we would agree to this outcome and find this mutually reasonable, responsible, and acceptable, I don't see why a settlement, it's not even a settlement, why we can't back up before all the fighting and go, look, we've added to this confusion. What's going to make that right? And at this point, because it is before the court, we have an opportunity to suggest to the court that there is possibly another route. And just indicate we have the opinion that we feel that this would be better for our community, for everyone involved, if that's what they
But
believe.
might consider lobbying the court on a matter pending before it. Lobbying the court
I believe
to come to a certain
the
decision.
city council has every right to have an opinion, and we're not trying to take jurisdiction. We're not trying to tell the court what it can or cannot do. I do believe that the city council has every, and I have not heard anything contrary. If there is something contrary, let me know.
Well, nobody can stop a council or any person from sending a...
Why would we want to stop it?
If I could make a point, and I've already stated this, if they were aggrieved over the opinion legislated by Judge McGuire, they had the opportunity to appeal it, and for whatever reason, they chose not to. That is the appropriate course of action.
And the appropriate course of action for the city, I can go down a litany of our failures. And we can go down a litany of their failures, and that's where everybody seems to want to run. And neither of those do justice to the city of Louisiana citizens who expect a responsible and ethical and helpful government. And none of those do anything but put a citizen of our community that, whether you like the people involved or not, is an asset, has nothing to do with it. There's an asset to the city. I believe that we should try to find. There's no burning building here. There's nothing that gets hurt by an extended period of time.
You've had your say, now I'm going to have mine. We have planning and zoning committees. We have zoning in the city of Louisiana. We're not going to violate any of these laws on zoning. And to change zoning, it has to go before planning and zoning. Okay. There's no real easy answer, but to do what you just suggested, according to our ordinance, is spot zoning, and we don't do that.
No,
You're
that's
picking one
incorrect.
spot.
That's
you're picking
absolutely
one-
incorrect, Tom. Spot zoning would be a permanent change of the zoning.
And that's what you're,
No,
but you're
I-
asking for a temporary for 5 or 10 years.
No, I'm actually, my suggestion would be 2 years, and I'm asking for a temporary change through a special use permit that completely qualifies by state statute for what it's for,
Okay,
and by our
Have a
ordinance.
Hold a public hearing.
Yes, we do.
We've discussed this, and let's take it to full council right now.
What is the motion?
And I would ask the council to entertain a motion that it stays with the courts and that we continue with our work tonight. I'm saying.
You're making a motion not to consider the options that I
I'm saying
presented.
not to do nothing while it's in court.
Not to do nothing in court. You're saying,
I'm going with the court's rule.
I don't think I agree, we should go with the court's ruling. I also think that we should consider writing a letter to the court or explore whether or not we can come
I
to.
disagree with you. That's not my jurisdiction, and I don't.
I agree.
want to get into it.
Again, what he's getting at is if that is the majority of the council's decision to go ahead and pursue writing a letter, then vote
So
on
is
it.
that the motion? This is very unclear, and we've had problems in the past with unclear motions. So let's be really clear.
Clear is, I want to see if this council wants to proceed with what you recommended.
Great.
Or we stay with the court.
Super.
Mr. Rath, if they have a court order right now, what would happen to the city if we didn't do something about it? I mean, is the city gonna be liable for anything, or?
No. Larry?
I've got a question.
Well, we might be, but I'll tell you what, then we will take it and our lawyers will defend it, okay?
That's fine.
Don't sit out there and make threats.
I'm saying, I shake my head, yes, that's all I did.
No, I heard you say it. Yes, Mr. White.
I've got a question. Did River of Life pay city taxes on the property in question?
The churches don't
They're-
pay.
they're
churches
exempt.
don't pay
Okay.
taxes.
They don't get a tax exempt on that?
They don't pay anything.
Yeah.
They are exempt.
They are tax exempt.
Yeah.
Do they, they don't get a letter on that saying they're tax exempt from being in the city, or, okay?
But Larry, I think you're right in that there is a responsibility of the property owner to know that they are in the city. And you know, I'm certainly not arguing one-sided here. I'm saying that both sides had a hand in this, and there's no burning building, and time is a free commodity to us. And extending the amount of time that they have to come in compliance seems like a very reasonable and fair thing to do. And I believe that we can act on that sense of fairness by writing a letter to.
Let's take it to vote. We've discussed that before. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we proceed as I discussed with one, that we consider or try to construct words for a letter to the municipal court that's agreeable to the city and River of Life to get this thing into a more amicable situation.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
No.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needham?
Yes.
Mr. Police?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Nay.
Mr. White?
No?
Mr. Wood?
No.
Okay, it's tied. I decided vote, no. The motion failed. Anybody else want to, you can address, yes. Just quick and get done with it.
I went to the last meeting, by the way. My name's Lou Shepherd. Those are my parents were discussing. I went to this last committee meeting where they told me to go to, and I addressed them, and Mr. Elliott told me I need to address you all. Most of you here know me. I thought I liked this community, and I love this community. I've served this community with honor. On the fire department, I've given my blood, sweat, and tears for this community. Literally. I've been out 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning to help save lives of people in this town and this community. I don't think that you people fully understand what we're discussing here. We're not discussing a trailer. We're discussing 2 people who every day of their life get up with no pay, with no reward other than what the Lord gives them. They walk out of that trailer to walk to that shop to help clothe people in this town who don't have the money for it, help pay their electric bills, help clothe them. More things, they give away thousands of dollars a month, and they ask for nothing in return. The prayer was said when this meeting opened, and I heard it. We're supposed to be about this community. Are we? I put that to you gentlemen. If you gentlemen could look at me instead of looking away. We're not discussing. I was told at the last meeting, we can't do nothing. We can't change the laws. That's the city council's job. I'm here as a citizen to say you people are messing with 2 people that all they want to do is serve the Lord. 2 people that their only goal in life is to get up every morning and see who they can help. Who they can help provide for. And I'm sure there's not one of you in here that couldn't find someone that you know that shop is not helping. That it has not helped. The idea of the pine trees got brought up. You know what? Just so this council knows it, I already took down a fence that would completely almost cover that, and it's been stored for almost a year. It's sitting in the shed right now. It could go up. Sir, I'm going to tell you I respect what you're saying and what you're doing. There can be a resolve to this. You know, my parents didn't put that there to try to hurt or disrespect any of you. That was not the purpose. I helped them.
We understand.
So what I'm asking from you, sir, and from this council, is it really hurting anything? Can't you do something? I know you can. You have the power to do it. All these people do is serve others. They're not asking much. My mother's not here tonight because she's home upset. That bothers me. That hurts me. And I'm here to tell you it's going all the way down to my grandchildren, because I have 5 of them. They're upset because Nene and Papa's house is being messed with. They're uncertain what's going to happen to them. They ask me all the time. Are we a community here? Are we Christians? We claim we are. Are we truly Christians if we're so worried about where this one trailer's sitting to disrupt these people's home? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. What would Christ do if he stood right here in this room with us and seen the behavior that's going on? Because I can tell you, whether he's here in person right now, someday, every one of us will stand before him accountable.
It's true.
So I'm asking you, as a Christian man, a man who loves his family and loves this community, please, take this to heart. Think about this. Surely there has to be a resolve. We can do something. We've all done business together in this community. I know most of you. All I'm asking for, figure something out. You know, I'm not trying to put the blame on you all. I'm not trying to put the blame on them. I'm saying we've all made mistakes. You know, but let me ask this question. When you ask God for forgiveness, what you do? throws it away, you don't remember it. Let's take a step forward today. Forget about the past, forget about what he said, she said. This isn't grade school. We're supposed to be adults, let's fix this.
Thank you, thank you. Anybody else like to address the council? If not, we'll go on.
Oh, there's a hand back here.
I didn't see it, you had to get that hand up. Yes.
I would like to speak on behalf too. I'm not used to doing this, but I just want to say that, I've been in this community and I can attest for the good that they're doing. So to not put trees up and let business go on, and I just don't understand that. And, is Stark so against that? I mean, or is it the council or the city that says that just can't do it?
The city ordinance says they can't do it.
Well, but the special use is what that's
Special-
for, is to serve in a higher capacity, to do greater, to oversee those little, stops, I don't know. So I just want, to stand up and say that, there should be something else to be done than to say it goes to court and that's it. Because, if people in this community isn't doing well, the community doesn't do well. So, to have more stuff in the paper about this kind of stuff, nobody wants to see that. They want to see that their community is doing well and see what good things are happening, not that there's all this bickering and these letters that people write back and forth. I want to see what my city's doing for us. We pay taxes. You guys are getting paid. Not very much, probably, but hey, there's more to it than what's going on. So, again, my name is Vanessa Thomas. Sorry to introduce myself. But thank you, and I appreciate your consideration.
Anybody else? Okay. Finance Committee.
John, before you go on, I'd like to count on myself.
You got to write as much as them. Yeah.
I want to congratulate the city and compliment the police department for their assistance last Saturday at the drug awareness and bicycle program. We had a great day. Chief Hughes was absolutely fantastic, and so was his dare officer, Miss April Epperson, and Jeff. Miles, Nev, yeah. So,
Thank you.
thanks a lot.
Finance.
Called the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. with Mr. Niedner, Mr. Polis, myself, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Wood present. Also present, Mr. Jenny, Mayor Wallace, Mr. Rapp, and Ms. Johnson. I made a motion to approve minutes of the April meeting, seconded by Mr. Stevens, all voting yea. I made a motion to bring before the council paying warrant 032 through 043-2013 in the amount of $297,155.49. Seconded by Mr. Niedner, all voting yea. Mr. Jenny stated...
Do it right.
No,
I'm sorry.
that's for the council.
For the warrants.
No, to make a motion for that.
Yeah, I need to make a motion to pay those warrants through 032 through 043.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
No. Roll call.
Motion is made in second.
I've got a lot going on here.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niedner?
Yes.
Mr. Pulley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Jenny also stated that he has a change order number 2 for the wastewater plant for Ameren to supply a transformer to the plant in the amount of $5,880. I make a motion to pay that change order number 2 as well.
Second.
Discussion?
Motion. Okay. Discussion.
I've never heard of the customer having to buy a transformer. Is that just because we're a city?
It's got to be set up to where we have to maintain the old plant until the new plant's online. They're different voltages altogether.
I understand that, but why do we have to buy the transformer?
That's just the way Ameren dictates it.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Their policy changed.
You gotta buy your own transformer?
It used to be when you wanted service, they would install it for nothing because they were going to get your service.
Well, no, it depends on who you are.
Well,
I put
and
in
a perfect
my-
example is the new gas line that we brought in for the HVAC. We had to pay them $782 for installation.
I understand that.
So
But I've put in a lot of electrical services.
that's just the way it is with
When
Ameren.
did they change that? I've never known a customer.
Yeah.
And I'm not doubting you, but I am.
Oh, no, I understand that. It's just policy
Olson bought all
changes.
theirs.
Huh?
Olson bought all of theirs
Well,
It's just
if that's
changes
law,
in
it's law,
policy.
But I've never, all my dealings with, the customer never bought a transformer, the company furnished them. Okay.
then. Motion made and second. Jimmy?
What's the difference in the two, voltage of the two different plants?
Yeah, one's 270 and
It's 480.
480 and as opposed to the 120, 220
208.
or 208, yeah.
That lost me.
Larry can run you through that, Jimmy.
Help.
And the new equipment operates on a higher voltage, but it consumes less power.
Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needham?
Yes.
Mr. Pollak?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Jenny from SEMA for the disaster number 1773 in 2008 flood overpaid the city in the amount of $3,083.42. I made a motion to bring full council approving paying SEMA $3,083.42, seconded by Mr. Diener. I bring a motion to pay that bill.
Second.
Motion made and second. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needham?
Yes.
Mr. Pollak?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Kokorka stated that there is a bill to be submitted to DNR for the wastewater plant. Sorry, was that incorrect as well? That's a little
Payback.
It's a little payback. For Klinger Associates in the amount of $15,311.61 and Lehman Construction LLC in the amount of $244,631.70 for a total of $259,943.31. I made a motion to take to full council paying Klinger Associates the total of $259,943.31. Seconded by Mr. Stevens, all voting yay. I make a motion to pay that bill in full.
Second.
Motion made second. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needham?
Yes.
Mr. Sal?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
I'd like to schedule a work study for the budget on May 20th at 5:30 PM with a special council meeting immediately following. I made a motion to bring the full council to work study on May 20th at 5:30, seconded by Mr. Needner, all voting yay. I make a motion to set up that meeting.
Second.
Discussion. Can we do that, or you got to have the signatures of a special meeting?
No, I think if with full council here, when he's making a motion, if full council agrees to have a special session after, we can do that happen.
You think, or you know?
I think, I know.
Okay.
Well, if you've got full council, they can call it anytime.
Okay.
Motion made and second.
Who's second?
I seconded it.
Sorry.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Needham?
Yes.
Mr. Pollak?
Yay.
Mrs. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And the motion read to have a work study with the council.
Immediately
meeting,
Immediately.
Directly after the work study.
I made a motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Stevens, all voting yay. Meeting adjourned at 5:46 PM.
Okay. Fire committee, Bart.
The fire committee met on May 6th and had no business to report.
Thank you. Police committee, Sonny.
Okay. Well, if I may have a moment before we do that, we have received a letter from Louisiana High School, and I think it's worth mentioning and reading. because it's good for the city and for our police department. The letter states, "Dear Mayor Wallace, I would like to take this opportunity to formally thank the City of Louisiana for their support and service during the Louisiana High School prom. You and your office were extremely accommodating in helping us plan our first off-campus prom in many years. I would also like to commend and thank Chief Hughes and the entire Louisiana Police Department for their logistical assistance and the level of safety and security they provided for our students. They helped arrange to keep parking spaces open in front of the Masonic Temple and provide security patrols throughout the evening around the area. I am extremely proud of and thankful for the positive relationship we share with the City of Louisiana. Thank you again for all your efforts and assistance on behalf of the students at Louisiana High School." And it's signed Todd Smith, Principal of Louisiana High School. We at our committee meetings, we approved the April minutes. I gave out several little bits of information concerning past events and upcoming events that were going to take place. One of them was that Chief Hughes was to give the Rotary program, which he did last Thursday. And as you heard Porter mention just a little earlier, the bike program at the Elks, the police department assisted in that, and everything was very well. It was also decided recently that our dispatch office would no longer be dispatching for the Buffalo Township Fire Protection District. Mr. William England, a local resident who has passed, left some money to the animal shelter or to CAPA, and they're looking at some ideas about possibly putting up a flagpole, installing a run, and maybe a shelter at a plaque at the animal shelter. They're going to have a meeting and to discuss these things, and I suggested that they look at all who had donated, because over the years many people have made significant contributions to the animal shelter. Mrs. Evans inquired about the crosswalk at 6th and Georgia. The paint is fading and a lot of people use that, so she would like to see the crosswalk repainted and taken a little bit better care of. Bob, is that on the agenda to take care of that?
Yes.
Okay. And also we discussed the police force, the officers, and I would like to bring a motion before full council that we allow Chief Hughes to promote Officer April Epperson to investigator detective at a salary of $31,000 per year. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
A motion made and seconded. Do we have any discussion? If not, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Neener?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Also, there was some discussion about parking and traffic problems when cars park too close to certain intersections. It's difficult to see oncoming traffic. So I would make a motion we bring to full council to allow the street department to paint no parking signs as Chief Hughes has outlined where there is a need for them. Do you have a second?
Second. Motion made and second. Discussion. No discussion, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Nieder?
Yes.
Mr. Paulus?
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay,
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
that's all we have, Tom.
We're getting, our cat problem in this town is getting worse and worse and worse. We're getting, 5 or 6 of them at your house a day is a few too many for me. But you need, Wally does all he can do to catch it, but there's gotta be another solution somewhere. They're getting wild.
You want to address that, Chief?
Active enforcement, trapping, we can go to cite those that have their animals running at large.
They're not people on them.
So, we can trap and remove them. We're not gonna be able to keep up with those litters of 9 and 10. Sometimes we do get the mother cats and the kittens and work to get them adopted or rescued out. We've got room right now for more trapping. So if there's traps needed, please identify those areas to us and we'll start making sure those are placed daily.
Okay.
Okay?
Go ahead, Senator.
Is there any possible solution or reason, or I guess it's not a good word for it, but that maybe Kappa would be willing to volunteer to help with the cat problem?
I'm sorry, the sergeant was talking to me at the same time, sir.
Could we possibly avail ourselves of Kappa to help us trapping or to kind of control the cat problem? Would that be an option?
I have to look into that because we're responsible for the animal control, and if they start, they can help us with the rescue and get them out of our shelter. We're going to be responsible for going out there and trying to enforce those ordinances that we have.
Yeah.
The other thing we can do is those that are feeding, we can identify those that are feeding those animals out there as well, or make a better effort to make sure people know that if they are feeding those animals, there's actually an ordinance prohibits that, and that makes them the owner then.
Okay, thank you, Chief. That's all we had, Tom.
Okay, thank you. Streets and alleys.
I made a motion to approve the minutes of today's meeting. Mr. Nieder seconded the motion. All voting yes, motion carried. Mr. Jenny said they was going to install a culvert at Georgia Street from Dollar General Store. Going to replace Bob.
The work pipe's been secured.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Buildings and grounds.
Mr. Elliott made a motion to approve the minutes from the April 1st meeting. All voting yea. Removal of concrete in the branch of 5th and Tennessee has been approved. Mr. Jenny states he's obtained 51 sections of fence 50 foot long, 6 foot tall from Missouri surplus. The cost was $50 for each roll. I spoke with Mr. Hendrickson at the school about the improvements he's attempting to produce, $15,000 for the project. Mr. Jenny budgeted approximately $20,000 in the 2013-14 budget. Mrs. Smith inquired about the old Hodges building. Mr. Jenny stated the council needs to make a decision either to demolish it or repair it. There was discussion on this matter and no action taken at this time. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Water Committee.
Okay, we approved the minutes of the April meeting, and we did some things here. Reverend Cohn had some comments, and we discussed the tank on East Street, and it's scheduled to be repaired. But there's one thing I did bring up last week that I should have, and that's our tank in the industrial park. Where we?
I'm waiting to hear back on the grant application I made through state revolving funds for engineering services to draft a proposal.
Yeah, I think it's pretty apparent that we're not going anywhere until we get a tank in the West End.
From what I understand, Fifth Gear is addressing their own issues,
But that'll be their tank,
and
the city, I think.
so that they can increase their storage capacity.
But that'll be Fifth Gear's tank.
Yes.
Are you still talking to that company that we gave you the literature on?
Yes, I'm just basically waiting to hear back on the, whether we would get approved for the engineering services grant.
Okay, there was some discussion with a citizen about his water bill, about, the sewer rates, but I guess he talked to Christina about that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Grant committee,
Motion was made to approve the April meeting minutes, and grant for the tables and benches at the riverfront has been approved. You know when we get those, Bob?
I'm sorry?
When we will get those?
I submitted the contracts, the signed contracts, and just waiting to hear back from them. I believe it's sometime after June 1st that they had said that they would contact us.
Okay, thank you. There was no response from the MLB grant.
Still none.
Still none. Or the engineering study for the industrial park for the water tower. I stated that Carolyn Ricecover has been working on some grants, and Mr. Jenny would contact her. And that's all I have.
thank you. Ordinance committee, Beth?
Okay, the ordinance committee was called to order for the April, and the April meetings minutes were approved. The ordinance committee had two ordinances to look at. One, the ordinance which was 110.120 did not receive a motion to bring it forward, so it's not going to full council at this point.
Mine says 190.
Okay. 110. Okay. And then the second one, the committee voted to bring it to full council, and that one I shall read to you. The ordinance, it's an ordinance adopting and enacting a new code of ordinances for the city of Louisiana, of the municipal code of the city of Louisiana, county of Pike, Missouri. That will be the first reading of it.
I'll second that.
The second.
This is the second reading?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay. And then I think
Okay, motion made and seconded. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niedner?
Yes.
Mr. Poland?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Mr. Niedner brought two proposed ordinances that we will be looking at our next meeting.
Next committee meeting.
Committee meeting.
Yes. Okay.
That's it?
All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since the other ordinance was not voted to bring up, is that gonna be an administrative decision on the agenda, or?
Talking about the
Yeah,
agenda.
yes. And I think in our work study, we sort of worked that out.
Yeah, never did bring it to.
It didn't come to full council?
Didn't have a full council.
Okay. Under old business, I forgot to bring something up, and I wanted to bring it up. I think the city should thank Monroe Elliott for all the work he did for county money. And the people that attended the Y, 300 plus out there, was actually detrimental, not detrimental, but they were the ones that enticed, instrumental, they enticed Neiman to bring county market to Louisiana. That was his statement. So, Monroe, I give you an attaboy for what you did. Okay. Special committees, city administrator.
No.
Human relations, not here. Board of Adjustment,
The board's got that special use exception under consideration. We'll finish it up tomorrow night.
board, okay. Introduction of resolutions. We don't have.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'd like to propose that a resolution be prepared recognizing Ronnie Rue's dedicated service to the city of Louisiana, and his family be invited to accept the same on his behalf at the next council meeting.
I'd second that.
Okay. Motion was made and second to draft up a resolution, be presented to the wife at the next council meeting. That's- Motion made and second, call the vote.
Mr. Elliott?
Good idea, yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Neener?
Yes.
Mr. Poland?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yay.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes, yes. Okay. New business?
I have a number of things. It'll be a minute. One is business practices. I have 2 items. I request that the agenda in general be more specific and include all anticipated topics in order for council persons, the media, and citizens to better prepare. If we know that there's a topic that's coming up, I just want to make every effort to get it on there. So just a simple request. And number 2, I wanted to talk about email and digital communication. Email and digital communication should be standard practice. There's no organization that has a budget like ours in the U.S. that isn't standard practice. So I would request that the following be sent via email and placed on the website, both digitally. All approved minutes, all council and council committee meeting minutes, and all proposed ordinances. It would be a pretty simple thing to make all of that happen. No, of course not. No. They could be added, 72 hours afterwards, if we so choose. But I don't mean that. I mean regularly scheduled meetings, so that people know what's going on without having to make a special trip to City Hall to find that out. I understand that many people aren't on the web, but many are, and that number's only going up. So I believe that if you have a constituent that wants to send you an email, you should be able to get that email. So that's the number 2 part. I request that all council persons receive an appropriate email address, and that these be one of the following: either regularly checked by that council person, which is easy enough for Sal or I, forwarded to an alternate email address regularly checked by the council person. So if you have someone that you work with or share an email with, or however you want to do that, directed to a designee of the administration's choosing, to be regularly printed and placed in the council person's mailbox at City Hall. That would allow us to significantly up our standards of business practice and communication.
These are just requests you're coming.
These are requests. That comes before policy.
I don't own a computer, I'm not gonna buy one.
Right. So
For $150 a month, I'm not gonna invest in no,
I'm not asking you to.
I'm talking, so it's a good idea. I don't care what you put on there. I would support anything you want to put on there, but don't ask me to buy a computer.
I'm not.
to do this job.
I would ask number 3 for you, that it would be directed to someone in the administration to print and put in your box.
That would take all council. The council as a whole would have to approve.
For me to suggest it, it would
No,
take
not
it? Then I just
to make
suggested it.
Make it come forward.
Yes.
Larry?
Or, I think everybody should have their phone number in the book or someplace where somebody can find it.
I agree. How about on the website?
All of my people don't use the internet.
All of my people don't use the phone book.
Well, okay, we get going with that. Let's go on.
It's a good idea, Bart. I got no problem with the idea, but just don't expect me to invest in it.
I don't. In
Do
fact,
this job.
what I find in my line of business is that we are at a point in time, and have been for over a decade, that because some people are computer people and some people aren't, most business policies have to address both. That's just the reality of the state we're in. So I tried to make suggestions that would allow for anyone, anywhere.
Too quick here, but you covered my, in your next thing. Go ahead.
Do we think that's possible? I mean,
That is
to do this?
a council decision.
So do I need to make that as a motion that we make policy, or is that something administration can simply say?
They'd have to vote to agree with everything that you said, and I think that you bringing out something like that, what you should do, if you've got a lot of new suggestions you want to make, I'm going to go like you did on the budget. Give them some time to look it over before
Sure.
you try to say, let's make a motion and pass it without some thought.
I think that's absolutely a reasonable thing. So then this is an introduction, and I would anticipate that at next meeting it will be old business, and we will address this. Okay?
Okay,
I have more if you...
go ahead.
Okay, appointments. I would just request, and you and I discussed this, and it sounded like we were amicable on the same page, that on appointments, you give the council ample time to consider who these nominees...
Now, when you say ample time, are we gonna go a month, 2 months?
Well, that's a great question. What do you think? I mean, I was thinking 48 hours would be enough for me.
I think that's true.
But I think a week would be great and a month would be better.
Yeah.
So how much time can you give us?
I would say that a week is ample time.
I think that's absolutely wonderful. But if we have those names a week in advance, I think that gives us an opportunity to think about and give the consideration that's due. I wanted to bring up the fact that we have a policy, I guess, in place. I don't know if it was made by resolution, perhaps, where we take 2 months to read and pass an ordinance. I understand that that was done for a fantastic purpose, which is to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to hear it and be aware of it. But what it also does, and I recall Mr. Rapp indicating that sometimes it's good to slow the machine down a little bit, and I concur. But it's not always. There are simple things, simple procedural things that sometimes we have to do that certainly don't warrant, having to go 3 months for something to happen. So I would ask, and I guess in the same vein of proposing, let's talk about it as old business next time. Maybe we need a policy that maybe we can get creative and find a way to give the things that require some time, the time they need, and to also be able to move along with simple stuff that just needs to get done.
I think we've covered that. If it's an emergency, it gets ready.
But some things aren't really emergency. They don't rise to the threshold of emergency. In fact, quite the opposite. They're mundane.
Well, I'm saying we tried to address it, maybe we didn't.
The statute doesn't say emergency. You're talking about that one statute on the, how much notice you have to be at the meeting.
Special somethings.
Yeah, it doesn't use the word emergency.
Special status is the term it uses.
Go, you got more?
Yep. I gave you guys this one, I believe. If we can pass that around. Again, I'm introducing a bill. This is to consider a bill in an emergency because I proposed the other one, which changes our basic process to consider a bill. This one needs to be changed too. I should have introduced this along with it. It's the same concept, it's just covered in another section. So I just wanted to pass that around and make everyone aware of it and connect it with the bills that I introduced last time. And the last thing that I have is this one, which is a separate packet. I separated them so you wouldn't get the two issues confused. I think, I need 2 of those, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Oh, and my copy. Thanks. These are proposed changes in order to make the committee that was suggested, that Tom suggested, to look at our committee structure. And this is a perfect example. The structure that he proposed, which was Monroe and Sonny and Sal and I, is not by our by our current definition of what we can do with committees. It's non-compliant. We can't. Right. We can't make the committee we want to make. And Bob Jenny can't be on or serve in that committee because of the restrictions of our ordinance. So it in itself is a perfect case as to why we need to change that ordinance. So the first part there, the proposed ordinance for city council committees, makes that change that would be required. The second part there is a proposed resolution, just as an illustration that I believe we want to do to actually form the committee that the mayor suggested we form. But we have to pass the first instead of the last. So if I go back to how much time it takes for us to consider ordinances, we'd have to go 2 months to consider changing this one, and then the following month, 3 months from now, we could start. I mean, that's just ridiculous in this case. So I think we need to be ready to address that and hopefully move quickly so that we can get to the business at hand of forming an organizational review committee as the mayor outlined. So that's what those two pieces are, and I would hope to see action on them at our next meeting. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Media clarification. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and second. Call the roll.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?